Hello, Lynn. You there? Can you hear me? Everybody good? All right. Okay, so welcome to, I think this is week 7 of Fundamentals of Real Estate. Welcome to you online. I believe we got Lynn's the only one online with us. Hi, Lynn. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Hopefully you can. Um, So here what we've worked with, we've gone through steps A through Z to work with to get started, to work with a buyer. If you missed any of those classes, please refer back to the videos. You can go on to HPT YouTube channel and find them all there. So please, if you want to just freshen up on something, we went through everything from searching how to create auto search. We've done just pretty much everything. Last week we started talking about working with a seller. And this week we're going to we're actually going to go on and write a listing agreement. So we've got those great, we talked a little bit about getting, getting comps last week. So we talked about that. So you can check out that video. We talked about how to do an RPR last week. So we go ahead and again, if you missed that, get that video and watch that. And if you, of course, have any questions, we're available. But I highly encourage you to go back and watch the videos so that you can just watch them at your own pace and go through it with your computer in front of you. So this time we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually write a listing agreement. Okay, so we've had that conversation with our seller. We've done our presentation. They are ready to sign an agreement. And of course, you can't sell a house without an agreement, them officially out, signing off that they're authorizing you to do so. It's the same thing on the buyer side. Cannot do any real estate related activities unless you have, what's that form called? Anybody?
Buyer?
The RBC.
BRBC, good. Yeah, the BRBC. So that's your contract to do real estate with a buyer. On this side, we're going to look at working with the seller. So let's get right into it. Let me open up. Okay, so now we've got, oh, you know what? I need to share. We'll go here. So share. Okay, so Lynn, can you see that screen? Maybe she's, I don't think she's awake.
No, I can.
Yes,
Okay,
Okay, okay, good. Okay.
yes.
So we're going to go into, this is when you log into zip forms. Let's see if I can move this up here. Okay, there we go. So when you log into zip forms, this is the front screen you should see. Okay. So you're going to go into new and new listing. Okay. So instead of new purchase or offer, that's what you, when you're working with buyers and you're making offers, that's what you use. But now we're going to go into new listing.
before this, the transaction, right? New transaction.
Yes, I click new, the new button.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll use my listing. We're just going to do that. That's in Immaculate.
How did you go to Z form?
I'm going to have to show you that. We've done that plenty of times already, but you can look at it but you have to create a login. So it comes with your CRLMS membership. Okay. So I'll show you that after we can talk about that after class. Okay, so I want to go residential. Okay. And I'm gonna hit save. Okay. Give it a minute to come up. Okay. So I just picked one. This was I have this one listed, so I just picked it. So it's in Temecula or in California. Okay, so this is the description. Okay, so you can as you go through the items, you can fill all this stuff out if you want to. Okay, or you have your TC do it. So so what we're gonna do is we're gonna check our parties. Okay. So Mindy, and then what you would do is on the sell side, and we're not going to put this in this one, but you would put the sell just like we went through the buyer. Okay, you would put the seller one in. Okay, we're not going to put it in this case, but you would put their name. Okay, well, I'll just put fake stuff here. So, well, just like our buyer, we're called Joe Seller. Um, then sell my home at Gmail. So I'm just obviously making stuff up. Of course, you're going to get their information. You put their phone number in, 714-777-5555. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to push save. Okay, so I'm just making this stuff up. Obviously, you're going to get the real information from your seller. Okay, you're going to have their real name and their email. Okay, so the reason we're putting that in is so that when you go to e-sign this document, their information's in there. Okay, so I'm logged into Mindy's account. That's why she's showing up instead of me. Okay, as the listing agent. So listing agent and broker. If you're going to have, so you either click sell side, buy side, and we're going to be on the sell side in this case because we're the listing agent. If you wanted to have another agent that you wanted to add in, you would scroll down through this, or another seller. Okay, if there's two people, you would add another one. Okay, so seller one is Joe Seller. If we wanted to add another one, you just hit seller two and fill that information out. Okay, so we're not going to do that. If you're going to have another person like a co-listing agent, you would add other. And then you sit on the sell side, and the role would be co-listing agent. You type that in. So we're not going to put that in here. Okay, so let's go. The next thing is you want to go to documents. Okay, so when we go to documents, we're going to go to all forms. Okay, this is the same kind of the same process as doing a purchase agreement, except we're on the sell side. Okay, so you can scroll through this if you want, or you've got residential listing agreements already at the top. So I would click on that, and it's adding it. So when I click on that, it adds it to my transaction here. Okay, so we're going to close this out. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to open this. And it's going to take a minute. Hopefully not too long. Okay, so one of the things is going back to while this is loading, um, you're having conversations with your seller and you're helping them prepare their home to sell. And presentation, they need to clean up the house. No dirty dishes they need to keep the house clean. They need to make sure it smells good. So if it smells like their pets, some people won't like that because it's all about presentation and how you present something. Have you ever, as an agent, walked into a house and it didn't smell good, and your buyers are probably thinking, "Ooh, I don't like it. It doesn't smell good." So those things they have to make sure if there's any odors that you notice, because some people, when they have pets, they become what they call nose blind, right? So they may not smell the pets, but you do when you walk in. So you need to make sure that you talk to them about it. And it's a tough conversation, right? So, but you want to tell them that we want to present their property in the best light. We want to tell them that we want to make sure that people, when they come into their house, that they're excited about being there. It smells good. It's clean. It's fresh. So that's something we need to look at. Okay. So we don't need any other documents right now. This is the only one in the queue. If there's other documents as we go along, it would come down here and you can move them or take them out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of it. Okay, once again, let me put that. I want to put that on the bottom. Let's see. Okay, might be a little better. Okay, there we go. So you're gonna have disclosures. Yeah, we always have major disclosures. Every time somebody gets in trouble on the real estate side, they'll create a new disclosure. Anytime a lawsuit happens and they lose, they created a new. I think they're pretty much done. This has gone how many pages? I don't. It's expanded. Okay, so we are going to check off seller, right? So Joe Seller. Okay, we're gonna check that off. Okay, my license. Why is it not in there? Okay, so I don't know why it's okay. So we 052. I think that's it. Okay. Doesn't matter. We're not sending this anyway, but okay, so you would put HPT Realty's license. And then you're obviously when you're filling this out, it would be your name and your license here. Okay. So we go through all this stuff. It's the same disclosure. Okay, again, we want the date prepared. Make sure you put the date in. If it doesn't have a date, it's not a valid contract, right? Okay. The first part of it is exclusive right to sell. Okay, so we're always choosing exclusive right to sell, by the way. Okay, we don't want to have the other, we don't want to go with the other. Okay, so Joe Seller is my person who's selling the property, has a legal representation of the property, the legal owner that can sell it. You need to verify that. You can go to Realist and check that out. Make sure if it's in a LLC or anything else, you would put the LLC, and there's a form later on that they need to sign that they're an authorized person to act on behalf of that LLC. Okay, so again, you are saying that this person, the owner of the property, is employing HPT. Okay, the property is located on, and here it is right here. Okay, and then you will need to look up the parcel number. Okay, I don't have it for this example, but you need to put it in. So where are you going to find the parcel number?
Titles.
Title or Realist? Yeah, you can go to Realist and find it. Okay, that's why you got to know those other forms. Okay, so we didn't put that. Okay, so listing period, you're gonna obviously start the same day, right? Ideally, okay, unless you had a conversation with them, say we can sign in 3 days. You can put the date that they're going to sign. Okay, it depends on how long you want to do it. You can do 90 days, December, January, February. Can be longer, but it's not. It says right here maximum length. 24 months if improved with 1 to 4 units, if not owned by an entity.
Questions.
Yeah.
Is there such a early termination fee or penalty?
No. No. Okay. So you ideally it depends on your property, how long you want to do this. If it's somewhere, it's a unique type of property. Let's say we have a 1 bedroom condo that we're doing, and you limit the amount of people that are going to be families are not going to be good for a 1 unit condo, right? So you see, it may limit the amount of people that would be wanting to buy it. Maybe just it limits to couples without any kids or a single person as opposed to a family with 2 to 3 kids. So all those things are important to determine how long you're going to take and what area it's in. If it's rural, if it's going to take longer to sell because it's a unique property and you have to think about who the type of person that's going to buy that property. If it's here in Orange County, 90 to 120 days is probably good. If you want to just put a little bit more just to be, you can. So it's up to you. So know that. Okay. So then I just put 90 days for this case. And then the list price, we're gonna put it over here. So I'm just gonna say we're gonna list it for I pulled my comps, I've had my conversation with my client. I'm gonna list it for 2 million. Okay. 2 million, yay. Okay. It's always a good thing. Okay, so Again, down here, property specific list, if it's manufactured home, which it would be not, but if it is, you would check that. If it's under probate, then you would need to check that box. And it'll add, if you check these boxes, it'll automatically add to the end of ours, these car forms. Manufactured homes or mobile homes, and then the PLA, probate and conservatorship. Okay. So now here's our conversation we've had a conversation regarding your compensation already with your clients. So this is the conversation that you should be having with them. Hey, my fee is
10%.
yeah, 10%. Yeah, you won't be getting too many listings at 10%. So it used to be that it would be 6%, it would be shared. So right now, what is it that you want to get paid on? A lot of people are really kind of cutting this back. You could try to get 3% if they'll agree to it. But a lot of it's 2%, and you have to tell them, listen, this is my fee and tell them, and we're explaining to them what we're doing for them. We're going to list it on the MLS. It's going to go out on all the websites. It's going to go out on social media. I'm going to have somebody come in and take some professional photos. I'm going to create professional flyers. I'm going to hold open houses, all the things that you're going to do, right? You should know all the things you're selling if they're having trouble signing this and agreeing to your fee, but so you agree upon it and it's 2%. Okay. So this is only for what your fee is. Okay. We're not worried about buyer's agent. We're establishing what we're going to get paid. But you do need to tell your person that's, hey, listen, this is what I make. Just to let you know that 99% of the buyer's agents are going to request that you pay their commission as well, and it could be up to 2% or more. Be prepared to see that on offers. And that's the conversation you have with them. And you need to make sure it's clear. Okay, that my fee for what I do, 2%. And you need to say it exactly like this, because if you leave it vague, you need to say, listen, when we put this out on the market, we're going to have other agents from all over the place that have buyers, and they're going to request that you pay for their that those buyers are going to request that you pay for their agent's commission as well. So be prepared. So you could pay up to 6 or whatever it is. Have that conversation with them, but make sure it's clear that it's not the old way. It used to be, hey, my fee's 6%, right? And part of that we know that's going to go to a buyer's agent. We knew that that was how it worked. But the whole lawsuit was whatever that agent did said the wrong things, and I can imagine what he said. He probably said, hey, you're going to have to pay for the buyer's agent. Didn't give him any chance. The whole thing is that the lawsuit thought it was bogus anyway. The judge probably should have thrown it out and said you could have gone to another real estate agent. But what happened was this judge said they agreed that, hey, they didn't get a chance to negotiate. So for however they came to that conclusion, I don't know. But that's what happened, and that's why we have the new way of doing things. So remember, this is just your fee. Okay, but you need to warn the person that's signing this, hey, the buyer will request that you pay for the buyer's agent commission 99.9% of the time, and have them prepared for that. So not only are they going to have to look at 2% or 3% for you, but it's also going to be 2 to 3% for the buyer, and you can let them know that's negotiable. That is negotiable. Okay? So make sure that's clear, and don't be vague with it, and don't forget to tell them that. Because you don't want your person to go start receiving offers and be surprised that, hey, people are asking. Okay? And tell them it's common practice. Okay. So 2%, or if you want to put specific things in the case of a manufactured home, it may be only 120, 140,000. You want to put a flat fee of 5,000. You would put that here. Okay. All right. So here's the other piece of it that we need to look at. So if you're the listing agent and you know that people are going to maybe some buyers, you're holding an open house, some buyers come in, they don't have representation, you're going to represent them. And you want to ask, do you want to do all the paperwork for the buyer for free? No, you don't, right? So this is where you would put, if you want to talk to them, hey, if I get the buyer, I'm gonna represent them. If they come to me directly, then 2%. Okay. So that's really, really important that you have that conversation.
Then you become a dual agent.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can not have that. You can not put that and just and negotiate that. But my thing is, and they might bucket this. They might say, "Well, I'm already paying you two. Okay, will you do one?" Right. So it's up to you. So, but you have to. That is what that's for. Okay. Okay. So on C3. Continuation of right to compensation for broker. So if you want to, it's the same thing on the BRBC. So you would go, I would put 90 days. Okay. So if this was previously listed and there's other brokers involved that have showed the property and might have potential buyers that come in and they have let you know about it, you need to put that in there. Okay. Is that pretty clear? All right, so going on to section D, you've got items included. So what's included in the house? If they're anything that's not bolted down, let's say kitchen, if you have a refrigerator, it's going to be included. If you have anything like a washer and dryer,
But don't you want the seller to fill this out?
no, you're filling out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a liability. What if you don't?
Yeah, you're having that conversation with them. It's not a liability because you're discussing it. Hey, and they say, hey, I want to include this TV. I want to include the washer and dryer.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're signing it, but they're giving you direct. You're not making the stuff up on your own.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is here, and he tells you, hey, I want to leave this. I want to leave this. I want to leave that. So whatever it is, and also you want to check to see anything excluded. Okay. So if there are some potted plants in the backyard and the owner wants to take them with you, you should probably put it in there. Trees are very important. Talk to people. I had not me, but had an agent that was selling a house and they had some trees, fruit trees that were in the ground. So the buyer was looking forward to having those and the seller took them out. Had created a big mess.
Saw that.
Created a big mess. So you want to make sure things like you should fruit trees. You need to tell if you're working with seller, those fruit trees need to stay if they're in the ground and the buyer's already come in and seen them. Can't touch them, right? Because you're in contract already. If you've gotten into contract and they try to remove it. So anything included that's not like standard, stoves, dishwashers are usually installed, and if a microwave's installed, you got it. So, all right, anything that's removable and they want to keep it, such as a TV, a refrigerator, washer and dryer, those type of things, you need to write them there. So if there's any of this stuff, solar power, okay, you need to check that off if there is solar. If there's an alarm system that's going to stay, water softener, propane tank, any of this stuff, you want to make sure that um, so this, you have to make sure some stuff's leased.
Yeah, like the solar.
Some stuff solar, if they bought it and it's not a lease, if they're making payments on it, you want to check it here, not here. If there's a lease, you want to check it here. Okay. So leased items versus liened items. So all liened items means they purchased it instead of leased it. Okay. There's a lien on it. Okay. So pretty rare when you have windows or doors being involved. Of course, windows need to stay, doors need to stay, right? Any smart home features that you're aware of? Hey, it's wired electronically. You need to include that or exclude it. Okay. So here you're going to property will be marketed the following MS. Most of us are OCAR, OCAR. Some of us might be PWR. So you would type in OCAR, comes up. All right. Or you can put CRLMS. So, all right. Actually, better you put CRLMS. CRLMS. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So also, if the seller is willing to offer concessions. Now, concessions are different from compensation, so do not get them confused. Concession would be, and we're in E2. So it would be, hey, they're going to offer $5,000 for closing costs for any buyer coming in, if they offer it. Okay, most of the time they're not going to. So you would put it in here. Okay. Is the seller authorized broker to market that seller is willing to consider asking for concessions. Concessions, not compensation. Okay. So right here, you check that. We're not gonna worry about outside. Okay. Seller instructs broker not to take pictures, photographs in marketing, except the real. Okay, so you have to have some pictures, and when you post something, but if they don't, for some reason, don't want a ton of pictures, then they would check this. It should be very, very rare if you don't have someone that wants to have full pictures of their house. Okay. But you are required to have, I believe, 3 pictures. Okay. So going right along. Okay, so timing of if your person's really, really busy and they only want to like look at offers in a certain time frame, then you would fill this out. For the most part, I just leave it blank. I present the offers as I get them. Don't want to limit myself, right? Hey, 3 offers came in on Monday, but they don't want to see it till Friday. If you put that, and if you have, yeah, just don't have to put anything unless they're really specific about it. Okay. Okay, so some buyers, and they kind of went away with this, but they put it back in here. Some people seller instructs broker not to present buyer letters, or okay, so someone writes a letter, hey, I visited your home, and the reason I'm making an offer is because me and my family love this home, and they give a story, right? So there was a bunch of pushback on this because it could become discriminatory, right? By what the person wrote. So the seller instructs broker not to present buyer offers letters, or broker wants to see them. You'd have to check the box if they want to see them. Hey, some buyers may come and write a letter to you saying, hey, they like your home, blah, 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 blah. Do you want to see those? If they do, you check it off. Okay. So investigation reports. So we've got sellers going to pay for a few of natural hazard. Okay. So it's going to be structural pest control, right? Give them a heads up that most buyers, and I put this in every contract when I write a contract for a buyer, is I want pest inspection or termite inspection plus section 1 clearance. I'm asking every seller when I write an offer for a buyer, I'm asking for termite report with section 1 clearance. Okay, so they have to be aware that they're going to have to maybe pay for that.
Even some property they bought down like this.
A lot of it will waive it. We'll try to waive it, but again, it's you're letting people know what to expect. Okay, so I'm letting my seller know, hey, that buyer agent is probably going to ask for you to pay for termite and a Section 1 clearance. You gotta let them know because the last thing you want to hear is, hey, how come you didn't tell me about this?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're trying to make this transaction as smooth and inform your seller because you're the professional. They came to you for a reason. If they could do this on their own, they wouldn't have called you. So you have to present them with all as many possibilities as you can anticipate. So they're not surprised by anything. And this is why I have those conversations with them. Hey, just to let you know, buyer's agent, the buyer is going to ask you to pay the compensation for their agent. They're going to ask you probably to pay for termite. And in some cases, the house is as is and they don't want to do any of that. And you negotiate through that. But let them know people are going to be asking for that. They'll ask for a home warranty, those type of things. So those things, any exceptions to ownership title, that's not typical, but if you have anything that comes up, you want to put it there. Seller intends to include a contingency to purchase a replacement property. So if your seller they're selling their house and one of the part of it they need to buy another house from the proceeds of this house.
Contingency.
Okay. So you would click this, right? So that the the buyer knows that there could be that's going to be there, and you'll have a car form SPRP will pop up. Okay. So you see right here it says C car form SPRP.
Oh, so contingency,
Okay.
not even.
So it's a contingency to repurchase a replacement property as part of any transaction. So what they're saying is they're going to sell this house, but they're going to also need to find another house to buy. Part of you check that off, okay? All right. The next part is seller opts out. If they don't want signs in front of the house because the HOA doesn't allow it, or they don't want their neighbors to know, or however, or a key safe or a lockbox Supra, if they don't want that somehow, I would highly recommend that you don't allow them to tell you no Supra or no lockbox because it makes it infinitely harder to show.
Yeah.
You're as a listing agent, you need to have conversations with your seller to make the property as easy to show as possible.
Control.
You know how it's really, really discouraging sometimes where you have on the buying side, I'll just tell you on the buying side, I've had, properties that they really want, but they're really hard to show. They're really difficult. Didn't fit in anybody's schedule, couldn't show it this time. The harder it is, the less people you're going to get into that house. So you have to have that conversation with that seller. Say, listen, we want to make this as accessible as possible. If it's owner occupied still, it's a little bit tougher, but especially if it's vacant, you want to make it as easy as possible because what do you want? You want as much traffic going to the house, as many agents that want to show it, they have buyers that they're wanting to see it. So you want that. You want as many people to see the house as possible. So don't make it difficult for other agents to see it.
Yeah.
Make it as easy. Think about you representing a buyer and trying to show a house. And how sometimes I don't know if anybody's ever run into it's been difficult to show that house. It's like, you really want to sell this house or not? That's my thought process, right? So that is what you want to talk to them about. It's better to have a sign out there because so everybody can see it, more traffic. But if they don't want one or HOA doesn't allow one, then I had an HOA that didn't allow them, so I had to put a sign in the window. All right, and put it in the window. It's a condo. So be aware of that. Anything additional terms that you want to talk to them about, you put here. Okay. So we're gonna here's some of um the basic advisories. So you've got a broker composition advisory, so you have to have that. It's already checked off for you. If it's in the rare case, if it's a real estate owned, let's say a bank's hired you to sell some of their foreclosed properties, you would check that. If it's in a trust, you would check that. Anything else that's you would check here. Okay. It's going to add the forms as you check it in. Okay. If it's a short sale, which they're selling it for then just to get out of it, and they're not trying to get full market for it, and the bank just wants their money, then you would check that. Okay, so there, and anything else. Okay, so compensation, we've already talked about that. It goes back over it. Compensation to broker, seller agrees to pay broker. Okay, so again, it's specified in paragraph 2C. If we go back up to 2C, there, section C, right? Your compensation, and refers back to that. So it's just a reiteration of that. Okay. And then we talked about optional additional compensation for upper unrepresented buyer. So do you want to, if you can get extra for filling out forms and getting them through, okay? I mean, it takes a lot to even work with the buyer. It's a lot of work too as well. So you should get compensated for it. Okay, so it recaps all the things that we just talked about. And if there's another broker that listed this before and they have some borrowers that have already seen the property and they hadn't made an offer yet, but this listing expired and they decide to go with you, and those people want to, they've already presented them and made offers to them, and we want to, and then try to come back. If that other broker has presented, hey, I sent this in, they could get paid for it. So all this stuff. Okay, so it talks about this stuff define. So you need to make sure you read this because it defines all the things all the fields that we just went through. Okay, how you're going to make offers, right? It even talks about see the buyer letters. See here, remember I talked about it says buyer letters may include photos and video, whether overt or intent. Buyer letters may contain information about a buyer's protected class or characteristics. So it could become discriminatory if they see the person, right? So I would never have a client do a video or a picture. I don't even ever have a letter written. I'll usually write something up in an email when I present the offer and let them know, hey, but I'm personal preference. But again, it could be they could opt out to not receive them. Okay. But remember we said check that box off if they want to receive them. Again, it could become discriminatory. It's an offer to try to influence a seller to accept the buyer's offer. Okay. So it says deciding whether to accept an offer based on protected classes or characteristics is unlawful. It says broker will not review content of buyer letters. So it's you if it's discriminate, it can induce discrimination. You're not looking at them, you're just presenting them. Okay. So I would refrain from receiving those if you can. With best practice. Okay. So all this stuff you just need to go through the investigations, report seller good faith, undisclosed conditions. So if there's anything that the seller doesn't tell you about, oh, by the way, the back bathroom, the foundation's cracked and it's leaking, but you can't tell, and they don't say anything. That's an undisclosed condition, right? They're responsible for it, not you. Okay. Okay, broker is authorized to accept a deposit and put it in an escrow. That would be the earnest money to, okay, deposit. So you have a disclosure regarding agency that's in every transaction. You put that seller representation. Okay, so all this stuff's disclosed. It's going through all the disclosures. This is all the stuff we talked about already. Again, read through all this so you're familiar with it because it gives more detail. Okay, it's your job as a real estate professional to be knowledgeable and to know what this stuff says. Okay, we can't go over all this in an hour, right? So you have to take the responsibility and read it. Okay, so it talks about, and this is all stuff to cover you and to protect you. This is all developed over years by lawyers from California Association of Realtors have put all this in there so that the seller needs to read this and they can't come back and say, well, I didn't tell you to take pictures or all this stuff. You need to make all this stuff clear. Okay. Key boxes. Okay. Okay. So tenant occupied property. Seller shall be responsible for obtaining occupants' written permission for use of a key safe or a lockbox. Again, you have to guide them in this because you can't just throw, if there's a tenant and they can't just throw a super on the door
Yeah.
and the tenants, people coming in and looking, people's stuff is there, so has to be written permission.
Yeah.
You can't, so make sure that they understand that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All this stuff you need to be familiar with and go over it. Okay. So I'm not going to go through any of this stuff. So that's pretty okay. So if it's an entity, I want to point this out. If it's an entity seller, so you want to check this box, write the entity there. So my house LLC, my house for sale LLC, whatever the LLC is, put that in there. Who is the authorized signer for that LLC? So you need to look at the LLC paperwork that says, hey, this person's authorized. That's something you need to make sure you're aware of. Because someone could say, yeah, I have the right to sell it, but they really don't. Right? They're not authorized to sell that house. So you have to get the LLC paperwork. You have to look at it, you have to read it. Who is authorized to perform on behalf of this LLC? That name goes here. Okay. The LLC goes here. Okay. You're putting that in on the first page. Okay, as the buyer, when you fill out seller, or excuse me, the seller number one is right, and right in there you're putting the authorized, right in that box we checked right at the beginning. Parties, remember parties. Seller one, Sell My House LLC. Who's the authorized signer? You put that in there as well, and that'll all pop up here. So make sure you know who that is. It's important. Because if someone signs this and they don't have permission to sell the property because they're not authorized, guess what happens to your contract? Not a valid contract, right? So be careful of that. So if they are selling an LLC, say I need to see the paperwork to make sure. Okay. All right. So when you send this out for signature, the seller's going to sign here. Okay. You're going to sign here. Okay. If you're going to have someone be on the listing with you, co-agent, you want to click on this and it adds the AAA form, not the Automobile Association of America. It's additional agent acknowledgement. Okay, two brokers with different companies, or I don't recommend that at all. If you want to partner with another broker from another, I don't recommend that at all. But I don't. So let's see. Multiple listing service addendum. Okay, so this is allowing you to put it out on the MLS. Okay, so read through all the seller's instruction to broker. Okay. If for some reason, they don't want it to be out on the internet, they would have to opt out. Total internet. I don't want anywhere on the internet because I want to make it really hard for you to sell. uh, yeah, so they have to check these. If they don't want comments and reviews, if they don't want any of the stuff, you just have to, okay, full exposure, delayed marketing, limited time. Okay, coming soon. You can put it coming soon if you want, just for a little bit. Okay, so read through all this stuff. Okay, seller such broker to publish in the MLS that taking of image is limited to those persons preparing appraisal. So yeah, if they really want to limit you, they would check this that only the appraiser can take pictures, inspection reports can take pictures. So you're limited by the amount of pictures that you can put out there. Hopefully not too many people do that because you want to put as much information out there because what do people when they're shopping for homes, what's the first thing they do? They go online and look at pictures, right? So you want to have that conversation if they're hesitant about stuff, say, listen, we want to get as many pictures, high quality pictures, so people, because most buyers are out online looking at stuff, and we can show your property in a positive light. More people will come to see it. More people will be interested in buying it. The end game is to get as many prospective buyers into that house as possible, right? As a listing agent, you want as many people to see it because the more people that see it, and if it's in a really nice, as a listing agent and I'm holding an open house, I want to see a bunch of people come through, right? First of all, because I don't like sitting there and not having people come to the house. Secondly, the more people that come in, the more potential I have for buyers. The more people that are there, it creates a buzz, it creates an excitement. People feel it, and people will start to bid on the house, right? That's our goal. So you want to any conversation you have, and they're pushing back. You want to have, hey, listen, I appreciate that stance, but let's consider this. I want to get as many. I know you're a little bit gun shy, but we'll take some professional pictures. Let's say pictures, right? Oh, I don't want a lot of pictures. Well, let me talk to you about that. So again, most people go online to look, and if we limit the amount of pictures out there, then we limit the amount of excitement for your property and the possibility of people actually wanting to come see it. So the more pictures they see, they're going to, wow, that has fruit trees. Look at that bathroom's cool. I want to see that. So it creates a buzz and a excitement. So again, the compensation, the BCA is here. So they were clear about, again, they're over disclosing about the compensation. So that's all there. Okay, read all that. You have to sign it. Okay. Okay, this one is the PRBS. Okay, so there's multiple people because it could be, HPT and then another person from another country bringing the buyer. Okay, the Fair Housing Act, it's all in there. It's just they put all this stuff to cover seller advisory. You have to look at that. A bunch of boilerplate stuff that the lawyers all came up with over the years, like I said, because of lawsuits. They added all this stuff. So it's a lot of stuff to look through. Don't have to memorize it, but if you're familiar with it. Okay. It's a bunch of disclosure. Okay, so this AAA form, I checked that off. Hey, there's going to be another person so there is another person who is going to be a co-agent. So you would put HPT and that agent's name.
You ain't co-listening.
Yeah, so if you're listing with somebody else, put that person's name and their license here. Done. Okay, pretty easy. So that is it. It's a pretty there's not a lot of detail to it except in all the verbiage. So what you're filling out is not too much. But again, you should have an idea of by looking at this, you should have an idea of the questions that you're going to ask and the preparation that you're going to. So what you need to do, what does everybody need to do with this information? Wait until you have somebody that wants to sell a house to you, or should you go in there and write a few of these and go through it and become familiar with it. Right? You should go in and practice everything that we have been teaching you. The best way to become familiar with it, the best way to be professional in this thing is go and do it. Who cares if you mess it up? It's not going anywhere, right? If you mess it up, big deal. You're not emailing it, you're not sending it anywhere. So just go and
Hello.
do with it. Go. Does someone,
Hi.
does someone have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. On
Yes.
residential listing, where can I get a copy of it, or is there a link that I can sign on? Or
You
I,
the only way you would have access to it is through your CRLMS membership, and you have to have access to zip forms.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
you're welcome. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions online?
Say, pretend like, when you practice after that, can you delete it?
You can, but just why would you? Just leave it in there. It's not going to hurt anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets really crowded, yes, you probably could delete it, but just go in there and play with it and fill out all the forms and look, go through the first, especially the first screens, and look at everything. Do I need to fill that out? What's this saying? What's that saying? Become familiar with it. Again, it'll help you with when you're looking at that property. Okay, remember stuff included. When you walk into a house or when you walk into a house to either list it and the owner's showing you around, or you're looking at, oh hey, that refrigerator, is that going to stay? Or hey, is that television? Or is this going to stay? Or if you see anything unique, like a wine refrigerator or something that's not attached in there, but are they going to leave it? What are the things that you have that in your mind already because you've already gone through the form, and then you're more professional. Okay, and then we're talking about. I'm going to go back to presentation. Right? What is it that the house needs to look like? So you get it listed and you post it. Okay, so posting we're probably not going to get to because next week we're going to talk about how to do an open house, how to conduct an open house. Um, but when you post it on the MLS and you start getting people that want to see it, is it presentable? And that's super important. It may be there is junk all over the backyard. There may be, the house may not be very neat, and that's a tough conversation to have, right? To tell someone, hey, you got to, I want to be able, but you need to say, hey, listen, I really want to present your house in the best light, and I want to get as many people in here, and I want people to have a good impression of this house. Some people won't like the fact that there's clutter. And that's a good way to say it, right? You blame it on other people. Some people may not like the fact that it's cluttered. So let's clean this up and so that it looks presentable. Okay. How many of you ever walked in a house and there's just a mess, right? And it smells bad. And you're just like, "Ooh, I can't
have a listing.
I can't see the vid. I can't see. I had a house that was like I talked about last week. It was right over here. It was a total fixer upper. They knew it. Hadn't been touched since the 50s. One person lived in there the whole life. Outdated, right? Um, but there was a bunch of old furniture and they were thinking they wanted to leave. So no, we got to take all that out. Even though it's going to be a complete fixer upper, I want people to be able to walk in here and see the vision and see what they can do with it. But if you have stuff all over the place, so even the bathroom had a little bit of mold, and I told her, you need to go clean that up. Okay. You need to go get spray some bleach on it and clean it up. Clean it, even though it's a complete fixer upper and the shower was 50 or 60, 70 years old, I still wanted it to be at least clean and not disgusting, right? Because you don't want somebody to walk out and go, wow, that's disgusting. I've walked into some and mold all over. I couldn't breathe because you could smell it was dangerous, right? You don't want to create that. You want to clean grass, mow the lawn, get rid of junk. Make sure that again, if it's an occupied property, dishes are always done. They're not leaving, piles of dishes in the sink. That rooms are neat. Okay. Don't want junk all over the place. If there are if people have certain tendencies to put pictures up and that their personal preference, that's great. but it doesn't appeal to everybody, right? It's not a picture of a flower. Nobody, 100 out of 100 people aren't going to get offended by a flower, but there might be something that might be a little bit offensive, and you might have to have that conversation. It's probably a good idea. That's great that you're fine. You like that. That's your. But other people may not like this, so let's go ahead and take that down. You need to have those. I had that conversation with one person, and it's not easy. Telling them, hey, but again, Joe Seller, you are hiring me to sell your house. Okay. And I want to, again, present your house to people in a place when they walk in, if they feel like it's home. Because those things appeal to people's senses, right? The condition of a house doesn't smell. How many of you have Christmas time? You think about some of even from your childhood, your mom or your auntie or whatever was cooking, your grandma was cooking, and if you smell that today, it brings you back to that, right? It's just human nature. Or if you see things that are not neat or not, it's messy, it's dirty, it's nasty, right? I told the lady, said that listen, get rid of all the nastiness, right? Get rid of it. And we sold it. Really, we sold it within less than 5 days. Because it's in a desirable area, but also because they prepared it well. There wasn't stuff all over the place. Again, I've been in a place where walked in, I was like, "Are you serious?" The outside was even worse. There was a pool. It was drained. It had all kinds of junk in it. It was dangerous. Remember, if you're going to do an open house, make sure that there's no safety concerns. Because what if a family brings kids in? Right? An open pool with junk could present a safety issue. Right? So all these conversations are tough to have. And hopefully you won't have to have it too much. But you need to, again, have those conversations to be prepared for that. So it's not just about filling out all the forms, but it's presenting that house and getting it ready to sell. And sometimes it may be vacant, and then you might want to ask them if they want to stage. They'll have to spend some money to stage. So you can look at staging companies. So where somebody comes in and decorates it temporarily. So that's something you may want to talk to them about. Again, if they're willing to. They may not be willing to. So
Are you getting into prepare signing?
no,
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 just fill out the form.
no, I didn't. I just put a fake email. So
Oh, okay.
that'll take you to Authentisign, and I believe that's one of the things you need to practice as well. Writing offers, put your own email, put a friend's email. Practice. Put your own email, and see what happens when you push signing. You go through the steps. Pretty easy. I guess I can click on it. So
And sometimes, yeah,
Hey.
the older.
prepare signings, then Authentisign's free. I put it in the main folder. Create. It's not a valid email we have in there. I put Joe Seller at Gmail anyway. So okay, so the documents that you want come up, you would say add participants, add from transaction. So right in the first part of the screens where you're pushing the buttons and you're putting in seller number 1. Remember that? Beginning of our transaction, that's where that's coming from. See, it says Joe Seller. So sell my home at Gmail. So you want to check that. And Mindy, I'm logged into Mindy's zip form, so your name would come up. So of course you need to sign it and select. Okay. So there you go. So it'll have all the signatures there. You just push next and it'll go out.
I can't click on that seller box.
What seller box?
I mean, I have seller name, I made up a seller name, but the box, the seller, buyer, seller.
This?
Yeah. No, the one on the left. See the box?
Here?
X with an X on it? You see?
This?
Yeah, I click it and it
You
take me.
you have to do that before you send it to Authentisign.
I know, but I'm trying to click on it, it take me into often something.
No, you can't click on it once you prepared to sign and you're ready to sign. You can't change any changes to the
I'm
warrant.
gonna
It
play.
has to be before.
Yeah.
when you're filling out the form before you go to authentication. So that's it. Pretty easy. So I'm gonna cancel this.
Also, when you
Back
register,
button.
the
Don't
owner-
save. Okay. So that is it for week 7. Before we end this, anybody else online have any questions?
Somebody speaking?
Okay, nobody online. I don't, is there anybody else out there?
Oh, I saw
Okay,
somebody.
so we got Mary Ann, Lynn. Do you guys have any questions? Okay.
I'm good. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome. Welcome. All right. Well, that concludes week 7. Again, it's pretty straightforward. It's not a real difficult form, but it's just, again, the way to be good at it is go and do it and play with it and write offers, write listing, play with RPR, play with realist. You have to play with all those tools. Don't wait until you have a transaction, because then you'll be like, oh man, I don't even know it. You want to go you want to go through it before and be familiar with it, okay? So, all right.
And who's the transaction coordinator here in the office?
We have Bobby who does most of them. So,
Okay.
okay, so I'm gonna stop the share. Okay.
Might have to go.